G'day, folks. It's the coach here. I hope you are all having a wonderful festive season. Merry Christmas, Happy Festivus, whatever you are up to and how you're celebrating. This is just a bit of a hobby hangout. I have bought a cool little device that has worked really well. It's nice to see some people in the chat. G'day, welcome, hello. I can see heaps of people have joined in. So this is really, I guess, a bit of a hobby hangout. My wife's gone out to do a little bit of a family thing, and I thought, what a great opportunity to do some hobby, to build some kits, to talk to you fine folk. I know for some people it's a quiet time, and I know some people can't get to their friends and family. So I thought, hey, if nothing more, let's do a hobby hangout. Let's just build some kits. As you can clearly see, I am building a I was going to say a mega gargant. We're not building mega gargants here, folks. We are building one of the big dragons. So I've already built Krondus. So I'm going to be building Karazai, I guess, in this session. Are we hanging? We can absolutely hang, Sarah. Let me know if the music is too loud or too soft. I thought we might need a little bit of tunes going on. Merry Christmas, by the way, to everybody. I hope Santa brought you something pretty cool, whether it was Craggy. I guess that's probably the hot thing right now. Kragnos absolutely getting out there, and I think a lot of people are already building Kragnos or asking Santa. Merry Christmas indeed, a 9-inch charge. It's nice to see you all. I hope you're having an awesome time. This very much will just be a chill sesh for about 60 to 90 minutes. So I'm happy to answer any questions or chat, or, obviously there's a lot of things going to happen in Age of Sigmar. We've got an awesome year 2022 planned. In 2 days time, 1 day time, we're going to have an announcement. There's a new Battle Fox box coming. So I think the first 1v1 box is first coming out. Merry Christmas, Carlos. Nice to see you. Wolfmas, Merry Wolfmas. Merry Christmas to Ryan as well. And Sarah, go to a doctor when it's available. Oh, start collecting STD. Sorry, I just saw I got STD. No, I'm only kidding. Slaves to the Darkness. What a cool box that is, and hopefully we'll see some cool builds out there now that Archaon got a bit of a change in the FAQ, huh? A little bit of a change. So I'm just going to make a little bit of noise and pull out the kit. But I'll be building out Karazai, not Krondus, because I've already got Krondus. I've already built a couple of small little dragons. Merry Christmas, Davey. Merry Christmas to Dale. Paul's asked a good question. How do you feel that the coherency rules need to be modified? I absolutely 100% think coherency is the bane of my existence in many, many, many reasons. If I was a rules designer talking about coherency, I would be, one, looking at certain units like screening units. And I think there's a really cool opportunity to look at some expanded rules for skirmishes. Instead of being 1-inch coherency, maybe look at 3-inch coherency, very similar to 40k, or 6-inch, to kind of like some of those ungore screens or some types of ambush type units. I think there's only a couple, only a minor, but for the vast majority, I think look, anyone on a 32 mil base with 1-inch range is at a significant disadvantage. I think of things even like much larger Doom Bulls. I never want to field more than 3 Doom Bulls in a unit. That the days of 6 are gone. And that number, like I ran a unit recently with two reinforced demigriffs, so I got them to a unit of 6, and they just look weird. So for me, I think absolutely, Paul, we need to modify a whole bunch of units and rethink the benefits of 25 mil base versus some of the punishment that 30 tills receive. So is my green stuff ready? Look, good question. I don't know if I've got one of the bad batches. I think there's a couple of bad batches, not all of them, but some of them. But Karazai is definitely the one that got butchered. Well, not butchered. There's some some green stuff areas. So I absolutely have to check that out. G'day, Grundy. I'd love to hear what you all are up to. How was your Christmas? What did you get from Santa Claus? The crazy Elias, the crazy rumor engine, the Warpsmith hammer ended up being a new 40k Warpsmith. I think the Oathbreaker has a furnace on it. I think the Oathbreakers are coming. My guess, and folks, don't take this as me leaking Games Workshop information. I don't know, but my educated guess would be is I think the Oathbreakers, the former Chaos Dwarves, are probably going to come at the end of Age of Sigmar 3. So I think they will be the narrative, and they'll progress the narrative through the Chaos Dwarves. I think those war machines will help break down the gates of Azir, and I think that'll usher us into Age of Sigmar 4. I think that would be my guess. I think we've got a whole bunch of things along the way that needs to happen before the Chaos Dwarves. I think the Kurnothi, I think the other side of the Sylvaneth getting expanded out, bringing in Kurnoth or some type of more of those forest folks. We definitely see that coming. I think Tyrion and Malekith or Malarian. Can't remember which one's which. One of them's the old fantasy name, one's the new Age of Sigmar name. I think they'll come in before the Oathbreakers. Help your gluttons. You got Kragnos. Kragnos is here to solve all the world's problems for destruction. By the way, that is a sexy set of rules. I'm going to start thinking. I'm going to do a little video probably soon about Kragnos and maybe how you might, much like the dragon video. I did a video about cities of Sigmar and who would benefit from the dragons inside cities and what kind of rules would benefit different cities. I think I need to do one with Kragnos. I think I'll look at Kragnos, look at destruction, and then think about who can benefit from some of the different rules. I think there's some good stuff. Yeah, absolutely, Paul. You know, some of those big bases with small weapon ranges really get punished with coherency, which is a royal shame because it then really forces you down the line. Merry Christmas, everybody. Stardog, Merry Christmas. Good to see you. Crazy Horse, where are your dragons? Well, I've got dragons. You've got my barbecue. We need to sort this thing out. I was looking at some photos on Twitter of Crazy Horse, and he has a amazing, delicious, slow-cooked, wonderful bark around that slow-cooked meat. So where is my invite, good sir? Yeah, absolutely. That'd be my guess. If we're talking about the Oathbreakers, I think the Chaos Dwarves are coming, but I think they'll be at the tail end of Age of Sigmar 3, if I'm being brutally honest. Grumdy's having a great day in Texas. I want to come to Texas again. I miss that so much. Got the Squigmar airbrush, and yeah, looking at Krondus is really good kit. I really enjoyed building Krondus. I eventually will build Karazai just because I want the other part. So I've already got Krondus. I've already got 4 Stormdrake Guard. And I did literally this morning, like half an hour ago, I bought another box because I need a Nitroconus. And the rumor mill suggests that they're going to build a upgrade sprue. So they say that there's going to be a wizard version of the Nitroconus. So a little wizard riding one of the small dragons. So if that does happen, I'll definitely have a little wizard to ride around with the Nitroconus with the dragons. I think the Kurnothi won't be on its own army. No, absolutely. I think, Aaron, to your point, many of these factions are going to be, my opinion, not my knowledge, is that I think you're about to see a whole bunch of expansions. I think you'll see when Malarian eventually comes to work with Marathi, I think what you're going to see is a whole bunch of like Auric War Clan style books where you have Daughters of Cain, you have Malarian, and then you have the soup in the middle with the combined force, and maybe even Harkuron down the track as well. And I think that's kind of maybe how they're expanding upon it. So you'll have your Sylvaneth with Alariel, you'll have Kurnothi with a Orion or an equivalent to Orion, and then you'll have the soup in the middle. So, you know, you'll have a couple of different ways to build and play. And I think the same will be true with Lumineth. You know, could you see Can you see Tyrion bringing his force separate to Teclis? No, but you'll have a combo book. You'll have a Tyrion force and Tyrion nations, the Teclis nations, and then the middle, which is the combined fancy pants elves. That's my guess. That's my guess. Let me know if you think differently. That's just I can't. I guess when you look at Age of Sigmar versus 40k, 40k is deep. Age of Sigmar is wide. 40k doesn't have a lot of factions compared to Sigmar, but the roster is super deep. And I always wonder, how long can they keep bringing out new factions for Age of Sigmar? And I think what's kind of happening now is they're starting to roll things back up. The ogres are rolled together. The Oryx are rolled together, and Cruel Boys now could be their own faction, but they decided to roll it up. What's going on in the chat? Kragnos and Glutos, yeah, like I'm seeing some good builds, especially for those weaker armies. Your dad bods with your gluttons and your non-Beastclaw raiders, but Beastclaw raiders and Kragnos I think could work really well. Same as Gits. How did Morathi escape the points increase? To be honest, I don't know. I think the better question for me was, how did Morathi avoid a War Scroll change? Now, normally War Scroll rewrites don't happen in the Winter FAQ. The Winter FAQs are normally a minor adjustment to things like points. But I can't argue against that point because we saw a rewrite of Nagash, Archaon, and Kragnos, right? So we had 3 god tier War Scrolls get updated, and it makes me wonder how Morathi avoided her command ability. I think that's probably the thing that is most an issue with Morathi. It's the command ability, not just the points. Because if you can just keep increasing points, and Daughters players will keep building 15 bow snakes. They'll keep doing it, and they'll find facts somewhere else and keep including Morathi. So that'd be my personal take. How did that command ability not become combat only? I would have liked to have seen that. And I'm a Morathi player. Just keep the fight in the hero phase, but make it melee only. That would be my thoughts. Can't wait to start teleporting Kragnos. Yeah, absolutely. Use the Hand of Gork from Gloomspite. Use the hand. Is it the Foot of Gork, or there's another teleport? Or yeah, Bridge. Absolutely. I can see Kragnos. I'm building the kit right. So with the in my personal opinion, I think based on what I've played with so far, I think I like Krondus more than Karazai, just because of the utility value, if I'm being honest. I do like Karazai. I think it's just very, very one-dimensional. And when you look at the combat potential from Krondus versus Karazai, I think you just get better utility from Krondus, which is why I went Krondus first. Stardog got some Christmas money for the new OBR box, which is going to be awesome. You're going to need either Nagash, Catacross, or Archaon. What would I suggest? I think Archaon the Black has probably got the most utility value. He's awesome for points. He's always been like a little mini Nagash. If you're going to run the sub-faction of Catacross, is it Mortis Praetorian or Staliac Lords? I think Catacross becomes an amazing centerpiece and a really cool kit. Nagash is Nagash. Great as well if you're going to be running other death factions. Are you using the Creality snippers for my sprues? No, they're not the Creality ones. So no, don't talk about Ender 3s. Let's not talk about my 3D printers. My 3D printer is annoying the shite out of me. Would love the old Dark Range on the table under Malarian. Yeah, I think so. I could possibly see the Cities of Sigmar dying, rebranded to the Dawnbringer Crusades. And then I could see things like the Phoenix Guard being brought under Tyrion. I could see some of the old Darkling Coven range brought under Malarian. And, maybe even... And I think that's maybe why you haven't seen an update to cities for a while. I think that'll be towards the tail end as well. Oh, speaking of cities, do I think the Dawnbringer Crusades will mean much for the old cities kits getting axed? No, I think what you'll see is you'll start seeing separation of the cities kits. Some of the things that don't make sense, whether it's the Wanderers, whether it is As I said, the Dark Elves, the various, Order Serpentis, things like that. And even the Phoenix Guard. I think the Phoenix Guard always felt a little bit weird. So I think what they'll do is they'll have like the old Empire and maybe some other kits, and then expand it through the Order of Azir and have some more Witch Hunters, bring in some more stuff from the Cursed City range. I think they'll still keep things, especially with the Old World coming. I can't see them retiring many of those kits because I'll want to sell them for both the Old World and Age of Sigmar, so they get a better bang for their buck, if I'm being honest. Morathi has a habit of avoiding such changes. Yes, I have seen some of the salt being thrown around at certain players who might have certain privileges that people think. I don't think that's the way, but I think Morathi is one of those weird ones to point. But I think I would have loved to have seen a War Scroll rewrite, at least for the command ability. Yeah. Things like the double tap shooting. I think that's the issue for me from Morathi. I think remove that, make it a combat focus, and I would be cool with that. Grumdy simply cut a bit of my combat snakes to keep room for. That's exactly right. You will cut back and get in some witch elves. You'll find you'll go from Sisters of Slaughter to witch elves. You'll find some points adjustments somewhere else. You'll drop the blood snake. You'll drop the whatever it might be. I think that's kind of the way you would do with the points adjustments. Eli's taking the Maggotkin. Cool. Hope it's accepted. Obviously, a lot of tournaments don't let you bring new books until there's an FAQ out. Can't Gork Kragnos use a keyword, but bridge might work. Oh, is the hand of Gork keyworded? Is it? I thought it was friendly. I'd have to have a look at this. This is why I want to do a video, just to look at the ideas versus what's actually possible and what's keyword locked. I'm going to pick up the Eldar range. The Eldar looks really cool. It's nice to see. It's really funny because I'm not a 40k player. I played in the 90s. Most of my games club were 40k players, and it's funny because a lot of the ranges, like the Imperial Guard and the Eldar kits, are the same kits that I built and painted in the 90s. And I think I've still got like my Catachan Jungle Fighters up, in a storage box up there, and it's the exact same kit. So I imagine those Eldar players and Chaos Space Marine players are pretty happy. Krondus in City. What role do I think Krondus plays in cities? I think it depends on which city you're playing Krondus in. So I've been playing around with him a lot in Tempest Eye, and I've really enjoyed him as a mobile Aura of Glory. So you cast a spell, it's a 12-inch range, and they get +1 attack. So that normally you'd put like a Hurricanum in that position, and you need a way to keep get it to fly or speed up. And I think for me, Krondus plays a really good role there. I think in Halo Heart, he's a great addition as well. I'd like to try out some of the Living City keyword as well. So Living City, using their command ability to shoot and then move at the end of the shooting phase. I think there's some real play in that to get kind of Krondus, Karazai, to get Karazai into combat early. So am I ready? Yeah, absolutely. We've got wrestling coming up a little bit later, some AEW. I'm excited. Monday will be a big day for AOS. Yeah, absolutely. I think if the rumors are true and what people are expecting, we're going to see Idoneth Deepkin versus. I'm just clipping for the sake of clipping. I'm not even paying attention, folks. This is how insightful and interesting you all are being. So thanks for keeping me company on Boxing Day for me, Christmas probably for a lot of you. But I think we're going to see what Idoneth Deepkin versus Fire Slayers, if the rumors are true. Although some of the other rumors had said that Fire Slayers and Caradhran would be merged into a Orc-style book. So maybe we're about to see the coming of Grimnir and bringing the Duarden together in a combined force book. Who knows? But element there, it's all driven by elements. I think they said on the keyword, or they said on the script, that it would be an order battle based on the elements. Yeah, I think Duarden book coming. I think I could see a Duarden book more than a Fire Slayer book, just because the narrative is what Grumnir's back. He obviously helped create the Thunderstrike armor for the Stormcast, and he obviously wants to bring his peeps together. So what he does for the KO, what he does for the Fire Slayers, what does it mean for the Duarden from the Cities of Sigmar? Good question. I don't know. Cities of Sigmar is the most important lore driver in AOS. It's literally setting. Yeah, I think for me it's always good because it grounds you into the day to day where a lot of the other stuff is happening at a very high level. Normal human heroes, yeah, give me a Demigryph Knight hero. I think that was kind of what I really wanted to see. I've got a kit from Forge World. It was a general on Demigryph. It was a special character, but I always hoped for a Demigryph general because I didn't always want to run like a free guild general on Griffin. Getting the Rangers, yeah, the kill team looks great. I'm half tempted to do Sisters of Battle for kill team. Hand of Gorky's Gloomspite gets keyworded. Damn, that sucks. Thanks, Noise. You've given me slightly an advantage. I needed to look at the synergy between the two. I was hoping it was just friendly. I was just like, you can teleport a friendly, but that's lame. I want to do Living City, a Durthu, but you don't want to spend more money on Living City models. Durthu, yeah, Durthu, and didn't Durthu just get a points adjustment as well? He went slightly down. Does Durthu have a shooting attack? I have to have a look. Happy birthday, Dane. It's Boxing Day is your birthday, so happy birthday. It's at least Boxing Day for me. I'm wearing this stupid Christmas hat. I'm not wearing the jumper again. It is incredibly hot here in Australia, so I'm not wearing a jumper. I love the Aura of Glory and Krondus. Yeah, absolutely. I think that for me, the Aura of Glory is how the hell that hand come down? It's such a good model. It's such a good synergy, and you can still take your Hurricanum if you wanted your Hurricanum, but I really like the mobile Aura of Glory. Then you have a couple of dragons kind of running up. Used the free guild general on Griffin as well for that free on a 2+. It comes back, so it's a great little combo. You start just running out of points really quickly though in cities when you play with dragons. Nate would love some Duai stuff. That's the who are they? Is that sorry, I love Duai stuff. A bit bummed that they went away in the are you talking about the Chaos Dwarves? Yeah. It kind of reminds me of everything was kind of lumped together. I don't think Games Workshop was expecting the success of Cities of Sigmar, to be honest. I think because there was no endless spells, no terrain piece. I think it was just lump everything together and surprise people that it worked. Ryan would love some new Croxigor models or Salamander models. What I think of the Salamander point increase, I think there are some things that we just need to solve. Look, I think the point increase was a good move. I think the changes to Unleash Hell was a good move. I feel like for some things it just wasn't enough. One of my real bugbears with things like Salamanders is that if I reinforce it once and get a unit of it's two Sallies and was it three handlers, you can keep the Salamanders right to the very end until you can kill those skinks with no negative impact as well. So I always find that really bizarre, and I think I don't know. I don't know if it's enough. I'd like to at least play and test and see. I generally feel a lot of the points changes just weren't enough. They either didn't go up enough with things like bow snakes, sentinels, long strikes missed. How on earth Fulminators didn't get a points adjustment, I'll never know. And then the things that went down, a lot of the times were the wrong things that people weren't playing with. People just weren't using them already, and changing the points was not going to change a lot of the things. I would love new Sally models as well. I was doing some Seraphon, and I was looking at like avatars of war. There's a lot of cool 3D printed things as well, but I'm not a fan of the Salamander or the Croxigor, the other one. You got your Sallies and you have the Razordons. Nate's only 22 degrees in the middle of summer. Yeah, it's been like 30 degrees yesterday and today. So for my American folk, it's about 80, around the 80 Fahrenheit kind of mark. So, Dwai is the Dwarden. Yeah. Oh, for a second, I was thinking you were talking about the Chaos Dwarves. So is Gotrek more viable with the nerf of Amulet? I think the other question you've got to ask yourself, Elias, is if you took your piggies, for example, the piggies went up as well. So am I better off taking Gotrek? Better off taking Gotrek over a Mega Boss or more Crusher? If you were running double Mega Boss, you'd have to crunch the numbers. Amulet of Destiny isn't too bad. I wouldn't write it off completely. Yes, it went from a 5 up to a 6 up, but I wouldn't write it off completely. So with those customizations in mind, I'd have to crunch the numbers to see what a Iron Jaws list looked like if I was filling it with piggies or if I was filling it with brutes. And I did have a cabbage or two. Would I consider Gotrek? Maybe, but isolated on its own, I think I would always still take the Maw Crusher Mega Boss. Noise thinks the points changes will only go so far with Salamanders. Yeah. I think there's a lot of things, whether it's to be honest as well, I thought they would do something about safe stacking. I thought something might happen with safe stacking. I was surprised to see that it stayed, unless they're going to do another change and they just want to monitor this change and then check it out again in 3 months or 6 months time. And given that it's Christmas, maybe they didn't want to manipulate the game too much, like changing Unleash Hell. It's not game changing, right? But if you change a fundamental or things like the safe stacking and how much you can try to ignore rend, I think it kind of opens up Pandora's box so quickly to the Las Vegas Open, which is almost 300 players. Christmas, where they're not going to be around for a few weeks, so Twitter will just be a dumpster fire. Yeah, cool. Yeah, there's a lot of great options out there. I was looking at some 3D printed versions of the Salamanders. There's been a couple of really good Kickstarter campaigns previously, and even Avatars of War. They're an alternative model company. They've got some really cool Salamander style models. Yeah, Soda, that's exactly right. So Soda's mentioned the nerf to the Amulet of Destiny, plus the restrictions of the healing. So your heroic action to heal. Your combat heroes, and I do wonder how this is going to change with things like Gotrek, for example, right? So Gotrek went up points. He's nearly 500. It was 485, somewhere around there, just under the 500 mark. So that's one. Obviously, Gotrek didn't have the amulet, so that you don't have to worry about that. But he can no longer sit in combat and then heal up from the chip damage that you put through. So he's still a beast. Don't get me wrong, but he's no longer can heal. So as long as he doesn't clear house with his double activation, he's got a better chance of dying. But is that enough? I think I would need to play a game against Gotrek to see what it's like. I still think he's still great value for money, to be honest. I would still happily take Gotrek. He still is a killing monster. He does what he needs to do. If you would put him up to, say, 600 points, I think I would have to start questioning my life decisions. But 485 in this meta of gods and monsters and low model count armies, he's still great value. He really is great value, and you can find ways to speed him up as well. So he's in combat early turn 2, well, in turn 2 somewhere. Yeah, I think Noise, that's another good one. I think Mega Gargants will probably in their next iteration be very similar to Kragnos, where Mighty is Rider. It's always been weird, right? Because when I played Megas, especially in 2nd edition, I play a little bit 3rd, but not nearly as much. But it was always weird that regardless if my Mega Gargant was on 30 wounds taken or 2 wounds taken, it always counted at the same on the objective. And I always wondered, as it got bracketed, it should reduce its objective holding potential. So I think Kragnos has got the right idea. Whether it's the right numbers and the right combination of points and, you know, the bracket, obviously we'll have to wait and see. But I think everybody would be happy if Mega Gargants kind of got tapped a little bit to reduce their power. I really hope they release the non-big hat versions of the Chaos Dwarves. See, I'm a classic. I really like that old, is it Byzantinian? The I always loved the big hat Chaos Dwarves. So I don't know. Personal preference. I'm from the old school. I really like those silly hats, but I like those cod pieces on the cities of Sigmar, and I know some people don't like all the puffy shirts and that. So I'm not going to collect them. So if people don't want the hats, then I hope they don't take the hats. Sigvold is a good chance of taking wounded Gotrek down, especially with exploit. Yeah, absolutely. You know, things that can ignore ward saves. Is it Drakfoot as well in the Bone Splitters? There's a couple of ignore, wounds go straight through. Sigvold is great value for money. And I know a lot of people don't play Slaanesh at the moment, but if you are going to bring in a Slaanesh model, if you are going to build a Slaanesh force, Sigvold is very, very good. Gargant should have the same as Kragnos, but just worse. I mean, Kragnos has more wounds, so not Kragnos. Mega Gargants have more wounds, so I don't know. But either way, I think they should still have the 4 brackets, and they count as less. And I think a lot of people would have a much better experience against Megas, because most people who pick Megas, they just want to run big toys. They want to have less models. They're not there to get the most OP broken combinations. So I think if everyone has a good experience, we're all good. Big hats, best hats. Yeah, I'm with Tribal Herb. Triple Herbs. Tribal Herbs. You could be Tribal Herbs, like Triple H. Yeah, I agree. Big hats are best hats. The bigger the hat, the better. Yeah. Custodes Dan is building Kragnos. Yeah, I made that subtle joke in the Christmas video. I'm like, I wonder how many people bought Kragnos at the start and was going to, and they saw the rules, and the rules just weren't that good in the old War Scroll. So they, so he didn't quite hit the table. He seemed like a popular model. It's a cool model, but you didn't see a lot of him. He was just too many, and his points went up. He went from 500 points up to 700. So he had kind of not seen a lot of play. But now I imagine he's flying off the shelf. I really want to redo the Skaven line. Yeah, if there's any army that deserves a redo, it's certainly Skaven, given that the acolytes are still metal models. So you're just asking for 3D printers to come in. So I would love to see what the new world of Skaven would look like, with more dynamic posing, more detail that would take really well to contrast, like being able to contrast your clan rats and some of those would just be an absolute treat. You just got to do contrast on Seraphon, and you see how nicely they kind of come up. So I agree. I would love to see a new Skaven line, even if they even retired some of the current clans and brought in some of the new clans from the Council of 13. I'd be absolutely happy with that. Sigvold as an ally to Tzeentch. Yeah, why not? I haven't. That's a good idea potentially. Do you have the points though? Especially Pink Horrors went up 35. Oh, that's a bot. Have to imagine new city model. Yeah. I'd love to see more new city range as well. But I get the feeling they're kind of stalling, because it's like, what do the cities look like? And I think this is one of the challenges with cities, right? Is that the cities of Sigmar or the Dawnbringer Crusades look different in all of the Mortal Realms. And if you look at some of the cover art and some of what they've done of people from the different realms, they all look different. But how do you bring that to life on the table? And how do you bring out, I don't know, do you bring out upgrade sprues? Do you just accept it for what it is? And, everyone looks generic, because, the realm of metal and the realm of death, everyone looks different. So I think that's a real challenge. Custodes Dan's Kragnos has been on the shelf forever. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine he's been sitting there waiting for a good reason to come out, and it seems like right now is a good time to play with Kragnos. I run a major event at the end of January, so I'll be interested to see how many people take Kragnos. I reckon there'll be a fair amount of people. Local store had a Kragnos for sale on Black Friday that he didn't sell. So I bought one in anticipation for the dragon meta. Yeah, I love it. I made a few jokes about old Kragnos, about him being a bit of a Chad, going around telling people that, he was the ender of empires and, he destroyed all the dragons. He was his ultimate Chad, talking himself up. But in reality, he's been relatively average at best. So it's good to see now he kind of comes up in line, although I'm sure Beast of Chaos people are a bit sad that he's not a Beast of Chaos model. I truly thought it was going to be a Beast of Chaos. It's hard to pass up the patrons that do think, yeah. There's some really cool, even alternative sculpts for things like Creature Caster and Avatar. I mentioned Avatars of War. There's a couple of really good companies out there that if your range is not being updated, or you want like an alternative sculpt, there's some really, really cool kits out there. I just bought a Hydra, and back when Age of Sigmar very, very first come out for 3rd edition, I wanted myself a Daughters of Cain Hydra, like a cheap ally to bring in. And Creature Caster had an Australian limited edition Hydra. It had like one-headed koala, kangaroo, and all this stuff. So I bought that for lols. But that just come in, so I'm going to build that at some point. But yeah, absolutely, lots of cool 3D printer companies, and I think that'll be one of the big challenges that Games Workshop have to get across. Clint, need to build out some Fire Slayers big time. Yeah, well, look, mate, on Monday, which in the next 48 hours, we should know. I think Fire Slayers is in a great position for this book, whatever this box is going to be, this order versus order box. I would not be surprised if Fire Slayers is definitely one of the two. You've got to say hot favorites is Fire Slayers and IDK, but I'm not confident 100% that it's Fire Slayers. I'm going to go with Combined Dwarves. That's just me. That's my line in the sand. I hate horrors, so Screamer's here. Yeah, look, I can't say too much. Behind me, I have like 50 pink horrors. Because I used to play a lot of Tzeentch as well in fantasy battles. And pink horrors weren't that bad in fantasy battles. And one of the reasons I think pink horrors are a problem now versus in the past is they never split into brimstone horrors. So in Warhammer Fantasy, your pinks became blues. That was it. So now the split and then split again mechanic has really made it challenging to obviously point them appropriately. I wish they'd kind of just make them a minimum unit sizes of 5, which means they could only be reinforced up to a unit of 15. It means that they could point them fairly at a unit of 5 as opposed to a unit of 10 that turns out to be 50 wounds. But yeah, in fantasy battles, pinks weren't that bad. And you could still put in rules like, when you got 10 or more pinks. So if you reinforce them once, you get a bunch of boosts. So I think definitely they need a little bit of a War Scroll rewrite, because you can't just keep nerfing them to the ground. Pink horrors are great. So are Screamers, so are Flamers. But when you need bodies on the table, you need pinks. And so you're in a bit of a hard spot. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Bruce. I'm glad everyone's building tonight. You've got another Kragnos in the works. I love it. More Craggies. Am I putting magnets on my models? No. I've got a Krondus built already. So this is a Karazai. This would be easy to magnetize if I wanted to magnetize. In the head of the way that you build the kit, there's the big difference between Krondus and Karazai will be there's some feet placements and feet adjustments. No one will never notice between the Krondus versus Karazai feet. Obviously, Krondus has the armor plates, so you could either choose that they both have armor or no armor, but it's the head. And if you just reinforce the head with some green stuff or some pillars and put a magnet in the neck, you could easily swap out Krondus versus Karazai, in my opinion. But one of the reasons why I'm not magnetizing this, and I'm happy to buy two, is because I'm converting up my Stormcast. So I've drawn inspiration from, and don't tell anybody, this is my Armies on Parade for 2022, that I'm drawing. So my heritage is I'm half Maltese. So it's a little island in the Mediterranean Sea. And one of the things that the Malta is known for is they were the home, or the last home for the Night Crusaders. So you used to have the Templars, you used to have the Hospitalis, and you had I've forgotten the other one. There was like 3 big knightly orders, the 300-year war against the Muslims, and just the general clash for the Holy Land. And that's what the Black Templars are based on in 40k, obviously with minor tweaks and things, but ultimately the Crusades. But anyway, I'm going to be bringing in the Knights Hospitalis, which, for anyone who might have the St. John's ambulance, you might recognize the Maltese cross with the red van and the white van and the red cross. They were the more Hospitalis is hospital, so they were like the hospital knights. So I'm basically, long story short, I am building a customized, inspired Stormcast Eternals with the Knights Hospitalis in mind. So all that Crusades and going across the mortal realms. I guess it kind of ties in nicely with the Dawnbringer Crusades going out there and expanding the force on the name of Sigmar. So that's kind of the idea I'm working with. So I'm going to be kit bashing, converting, green stuffing. Yeah, there's heaps of great models. I would agree. Fireslayer lore is badass. Yeah, Fireslayer lore is badass, and I would love to see them more as a mercenary faction as opposed, because that's what they are. Them and the Caradhran are more mercenary. They want the gold and the Urgold, and they want those types of things, and they'll fight for others. So I would love to see them kind of. Did you miss out on rumors? So in one of the one of the Warcom articles overnight. So I woke up this morning and there was a 40k box, I think it was, and it was like the Eldar, and they were showing off some models for the Chaos Space Marines. And then under a picture, there's like this Chaos Star terrain piece. It's the 40k. I don't know what it's called, but under the picture, there's a paragraph, literally 2 lines or 3 lines, and it says, if you are an Age of Sigmar fan, we have a big box set announcement on Monday. It's an order box, and something about the elements. So check it out. It's on Warcom. Like literally just come out. Yeah, absolutely. Please post photos in my Discord and then tag me as well. So I'll make sure to check it out when I finish it. Have I seen Magnos? Yes, I did see Magnos. I did see somebody use Magnus the Red's head on Kragnos, and it looks great. Yeah, I did see that one. And I also saw, did I see another version? Oh no. I saw and I retweeted this on Twitter. There was the Avalanor stone, the Beaver of Secrets from Lumineth. Someone had put Krondus's head on the stone mountain guy from Lumineth, and that looked really good too. So love kit bashing. Have I ever checked out Infinity's military orders, Hospitalis with swords, rifles? I have not. I've been doing a lot of history and looking at the lore. I don't want to be just copying Black Templars, because Black Templars were the Templar Knights, not the Knight Hospitalis. But I've been doing a lot of like research and a lot of like, I was actually watching a really cool documentary on Amazon, which was a 4-part series about the Crusader Wars from the eyes of the Muslims, and absolutely fascinating. It was a really, really well done series to kind of see. And I'm not trying to get political, not trying to get religious here. It's just great to kind of see it from a different eye. And it was interesting, big 200-year war. But I will definitely check that out. Scale is always challenging. But thanks to everyone who's jumped on again. Merry Christmas. It's just us hobby hanging out. YouTube's off the charts with this music. I don't know what's going on. Nice to see you, Jack. G'day. Hope you're having a good Christmas. I saw a photo of you and the kids, which is awesome. Aaron, spoilers, man. Spoilers, brother. Don't be dropping any AEW wrestling stuff on me yet. Chill. I'll have to check out the Infinity ones. I'm always looking for inspiration. So I even joined the Black Templar Facebook group the other day, just to kind of see what they were doing with their kits, because they're using the Maltese cross, but I'm certainly not doing black and white. Again, that was the Knights Templar, not the Knights Hospitalis. It's confusing. Infinity sci-fi, your Vatican made military to crusade. Yeah, cool. That's kind of like what I'm thinking about. I'm not going into the super religious part of it all, and I'm not getting too crazy. It's literally just a Stormcast chamber that is built out to help expand the mortal realms in the name of Sigmar. So I've gone out and converted my chariot. I've got a converted warrior priest, but it's I'm using Volkmar the Grim for anyone who knows fantasy, and I've kit bashed that with the Knight Relictor to make my own Knight Relictor. Manipulating Gardas now, and having Gardas has got some really cool swords and some more of that, again, Black Templar style bits, but also drawing from other parts. So and being Maltese as well, it's actually close to my heart, being my country. So I'm not going too crazy, but yeah, they've got such a being Maltese, gone to Malta many times. Very proud of my heritage. Merry Christmas to you, Joey, as well. Not doing Warhammer, but we're working on a druid bust. I have never done a bust. Always seemed like I saw Forge World. Forge World back in the day used to do some really cool fantasy and 40k busts, goblins and a whole bunch of things. And I think if they still did those busts, I'd definitely be up for that. Very cool. Always seems like, even there used to be a game called Inquisitor, and they were 75 mil models, and that kind of always felt a little bit intimidating, going much bigger models. Obviously the details bigger, but also you can see things a lot easier. But I'm seeing more popularity in busts. I was talking to Chuck Moore the other day, and he's looking at getting into busts. So I think even watching Vince Venturella this morning, he had a video just kind of reflecting on his painting history and seeing kind of where he started to what he's done now, and some gorgeous busts. Which, if anyone doesn't know what a bust is, it's a much larger model. It's probably yay kind of big, and it's usually just from the chest up, and no arms, or it's cut off a certain area. You probably see a lot of those in museums, just not painted. So I've done a whole bunch of clipping. Probably actually not gotten anywhere. This is a really easy kit, by the way. Is this music too loud? It's driving me insane. Settle down a little bit. So what's everyone up to tonight or today? Has everyone had a good Christmas? So today is in the future. So being Australia, this is Sunday. I was hosting Christmas, so my COVID for us has been a bit weird. We've probably like many countries, we had a spike in Delta, and not Delta, Omicron. It was Omicron, and it was a bit weird. We didn't quite know what was going to happen, or I had some family members get COVID tested literally the day or two before Christmas. So it was really kind of a bit sketchy on, will these people make it, who won't make it, or who get told to get isolated. So I kept it pretty casual, and I hosted Christmas and had a bit of a barbecue, and I cooked a whole bunch of Greek inspired food. So we had a lot of kebabs, a lot of different salads and halloumi, and lots of desserts, and just generally things that would be quite easy for me to scale up or scale down on the day. So I had a couple of people added to my Christmas that weren't initially planned, because their hosts got were told to isolate. So they weren't allowed to attend that Christmas party, so they came to ours instead. They didn't have COVID. It was the host was told to isolate, not them. So I didn't bring them to my house. But does Forge World still sculpt models with putty, or are they digital? I would probably say digital. I feel like most of, when I look at their jobs, not that I'm applying for jobs in Nottingham, but I'm always fascinated to see what their jobs are and what they're looking for. And for the miniature designers, a lot of it is always about like having CAD experience, or being able to 3D model. But I don't know. Maybe they still do some green stuff, but I think a lot of it is now digital. Ooh, Jack is doing a Wargog Prophet for 2+ tough. Mad love to Doug. Man, hasn't the Wargog Prophet become popular? Just get 4 or 5 of those little Wargogs with their masks and just mortal wound anything off the table. I think someone was telling me at a tournament they had I think they killed Nagash just purely from the mask of the Wargog Prophet. So it can do a metric ton of mortal wounds, and it's not too expensive as well. They're very quite cheap points wise. But yeah, that was my Christmas. I hosted a whole bunch of people coming over to my house. I was pretty buggered, to be honest. I think I fell asleep by about 3 o'clock. I think everyone kind of left at 3, and then I kind of sat down for a little bit, passed out. It was again 30 odd degrees, or 80 odd for the Americans on the line. And then my wife woke me up, and we had to go to like a little family thing. So family dinners are always, the dinners on Christmas are always just basically like no one cooks. It's just about like help me eat some of the food that's still here. Sit there for a couple of hours, and then I just come kind of home and chilled a little bit, kind of keeping it cash. Done a Wargog for an ally's Gloomspite. Yeah, that's good. I think it's a great little ally. I just wish I could do the Rogue Idol in my Gits. I think it's still such a great model, but it's just slightly too expensive. But yeah, that was kind of my Christmas, and I'm off for a couple of weeks. So I took a couple of days before Christmas because I knew I was going to host. So I needed to go out and go to the shops, and well, geez, you probably don't want that close with my arm. You don't need to see my hairy arm. But yeah, I think I've got a couple of weeks off. So my birthday is middle of January. So I think my first day back at work was meant to be the day before my birthday. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not going back. And then I've got to deal with birthday stuff. And then, there's the office happy birthday rubbish. I'm just going to skip it all. I'm going to skip that, and I'll come back the day after my birthday. So I'll have like 3 weeks off. So I think I'm just going to do some, I run a tournament. So at the end of January, I've got about 100 players playing at my tournament. They've got postponed. Usually I run that in October, and because of COVID, it got I pushed it to January, and so I've got to paint terrain, and more importantly, I've got to cut up my battle mats. So I've got like 100, got about 50 battle mats, 55 to be exact. And with the new board size changing, it's like, do you use painter's tape and cut up the board and kind of like mark off the quadrants? Do you let your players do it themselves, or do you just bite the bullet and cut it yourself? So I think I'm just going to cut it. I bought some fabric scissors, and I'm just going to cut all the mats and hope for the best that we never ever go back to 6x4s, because otherwise I'm going to have a whole bunch of ruined mats, which is not ideal. What's going on in the chat? It's interesting to see how other people remove their mold lines. So I've never thought about this. So I remove my mold lines. I just use my hobby knife. Usually this knife is, I've got a couple of these blades. This one is not a fresh blade. So it means that I can cut myself without actually being worried. But it also means that it's sharp enough to cut and clean up and scrape, just clean up my models really quickly, and they're agile enough. And then that's how I've always done it. I think it goes back to high school. I mean, when I started the hobby and I got into the hobby being a kid, a lot of these tools that we have today, like the mold scrapers and things like that, didn't exist. So I stole one of these from, I think it was the arts room or the science room. I think I think the science room. You cut things up in science class or in art class, and again, I was living in rural New South Wales or rural Australia, so art stores were not existent. So I always had one blade, and I just used that until it broke. But now you're making me self-conscious on how I scrape bloody mold lines, Jack. I only get one day off for Christmas. Yeah, that sucks. I do think about people who work long hours, and hopefully the money's worth it for you and your family, or you buy some more plastic. I'm struggling. I'm struggling, but I got 55 battle mats for a tournament. Like, do I want to keep sticky taping and quadrant up using painter's tape, or do I just bite the bullet and cut it? And I've got the fabric, and I think I'm just going to do it. Unfortunately, I need to go check out Reroll One's bat reps. Yeah, definitely go check them out, and maybe we can peer pressure Jack and the Rerolling Ones crew to record more battle reports. They've slowed down. Definitely the ratio of Seasons of War versus Rerolling Ones it's becoming one-sided, Jack. Please, let's get some more bat reps. G'day, Autumn. Bit late. I know you're in Europe. Go to bed. Hope everyone is having a great Christmas. I hope you're having a great Christmas. Thanks for dropping in. I know it's a bit late. Davies, my problem is that with kit bashing stuff, I can't build a model the way it's meant to. No, it's just I think for me it's about having a story and having an idea in mind, and just and building what you want to build and tell the story that you want to tell. I think that's what I've most enjoyed about the hobby lately. Has just been and there are like-minded people who love converting and kit bashing, and there are websites out there that sell bits as well, so you can go and buy any random bit that you need. Facebook groups are full of people selling kits and bits that you just like convert the crap out of things, and they're unique, and I think people appreciate something that's not stock standard. Now, I'm not trying to shaming anyone who does the stock standard stuff. Like, you do your hobby, but I really enjoy telling stories and tweaking things off. Yeah, shout out Elias, you mad lad, working for UPS. I can only imagine how crazy deliveries have been right now. Absolutely crazy, but appreciate. I always use the back of the knife to get molds and sharpen up. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I usually just cut it with my clippers, and then I'll go at it. Back of the knife. No, I don't like the back of the knife. I like the pointier knife. But I definitely use it with more of a blunter knife. I don't use a sharp knife. You're just asking for trouble. You cut through something, and it slips through, and you'll cut yourself pretty easily. So you do you. Worked all morning, got double tied, got paid. Yeah, sweet. So you got plenty of money to go and pay. Cut it. Oh, there you go. Shout out, hot off the press, folks. Rerolling Ones dropping a new battle report today. So if you aren't watching Rerolling Ones, I'd highly recommend go checking out those handsome, fine gentlemen. Fun fact. In 2020, I was meant to go over and actually have a game with Jack from Rerolling Ones. I was due to come over to America for a tournament. I actually had my tickets on my flight, and we all know the story of what happened. COVID hit, and but unfortunately, I was going to be all based on your West Coast. Yeah, East is New York. That California route is your West Coast. Yeah, I was going to be on the West Coast, doing a whole bunch of things, and while I was in the hood, Jack and I were going to have a game. Seems like a long time. Yeah, so go check it out. Okay, hey Carl, good to see you, mate. You must be pumped about your Fire Slayers getting potentially an update. Fingers crossed, mate. Like 24, 48 hours, we'll see if your Fire Slayers. There you go. Everyone, there you go. UPS is USPS, United States Postal Service, and then Jack is UPS. Okay, all right. It's acronym city here. All right. I'll go check your LinkedIn profiles and I'll see where you work. Hey, AJ, Merry Christmas. Absolutely pleasure. Chungus in the stream. Hey, Eric. Oh, hey, Chungus. It's always hard when people's Twitter names or their Discord names don't match up. UPS and USPS are brothers in distress. Yeah, I can only be nice to my delivery drivers and, you know, being kind to them. Merry Christmas to you, Zolaris. Zolaris. Merry Christmas to all of you. Thanks for joining in. I hope you are doing some hobby. This is pretty cash. I think I'd like to do some more hobby hangouts. My wife has been working from home, so I haven't been using this office as nearly as much as I used to. A lot of it has just been, you know, just working around it. But as kind of things get back to normal, I'd like to do some more cheeky hobby hangouts and just things like this, along with obviously the list talking and, you know, doing tactical videos and, you know, spotlights around the community. I think, you know, having a well-rounded thing for you all to listen to. I know sometimes, you know, I'll do a list talking video about, I don't know, Nagash in Nighthaunt, and for a lot of people, they don't care about that. So we'll try to find some other things we can talk about. Should actually pay attention and do. I've not paid attention at all. Just chatting to you lot, and I've just been clipping things. But yeah, so if you've got a question about the channel, if there's things you want to know, anything you want to know about me, I'm happy to, like, if you want the link to my OnlyFans stream, you're welcome to subscribe there. But, you know, like, this is just a cool hangout. You know, I think definitely moving forward, hopefully we can get some more of these back up consistently. You know, we'll have some topics and have some ideas, and I'll do a better music stream. But I'm just building Krondus while the wife is not here. She's at a 1-year-old's birthday. I was like, nah, not for me. Coach in Gotrek cosplay. I'm too tall for Gotrek. I'm not ginger enough. I feel like I'm more like an ogre. When will I cosplay Gotrek? Maybe if I get ripped. Let me get some more gains. Maybe an eye patch. We'll look at that. Am I building an all dragon list for Stormcast? No, I'm not. So I'm building. So I think what I'm going to do, I have to look at points. Like right now, I've just been a complete Timmy. So I'm doing my armies on parade board. So first and foremost, it's just going to be focused on armies on parade. But then I'll build the list. So what I've got so far for my Stormcast is I've got Gargant, 2 units of Vindictors. I've got a Lord Relictor. I've still got all the stuff from Dominion and Extremis. So a lot of that stuff is still on their sprue, but I've cut out and cleaned up the 2 Vindictors, the Lord Relictor, Gargant. I've got the Stormcast Chariot that I've converted up. And for anyone who knows Warhammer Fantasy, there used to be a War Altar of Sigmar, and it has like a really big like griffin with a hammer, kind of like it's called, you know, it was a really cool like kit. But I've got that. I've converted the back of my chariot to be longer, so I can still have the two models at the front, but then also have this big chariot. What else? I've got 2 units of the 2 Stormdrake Guard. I just picked up literally an hour and a half ago. I picked up another box so I can do a Knight Draconis, and I've got Krondus built, and now this will be Karazai. So, long story short, this is not an all dragon Stormcast list. This will be more of a combo force. I still want to have some bodies on the table. I still want to have I don't want Liberators. I got into Stormcast because I really like the Thunderstrike armor. I'm not a fan of the old cast, so I converted my Lord Relictor out of the Knight Relictor, but I used parts from the Lord Relictor because I'm a snowflake and I need to be special. Cool. So I was actually going to do some hobby. Yeah, I don't want liberators, so I'm converting my vindictors. So I've been cutting off all the shields. So for example, I've been scraping off. Oops, there's the camera there. So I've been removing all of the iconography, because that's where I'll be putting like my Maltese crosses and all the other like purity seals and all those different things. But yeah. What's going on? Cool. Give me 2 seconds. Let me go get you and I'll bring it over and I'll actually show you the Waralter kit. So talk among yourself, literally like 2 seconds. All right, that was closer to 5 seconds. So I've been this is where I'm currently at with my Lord Relictor. So I cut up what used to be called Volkmar the Grim. So I've cut him up. I put his eagle on the chest, and I'm kind of making things up. Brought in still the legitimate Lord Relictor banner, but I've been using like Volkmar the Grim's back head. There'll be his face there, and that's from the Knight Relictor. So I'm like a bit of a combined thing. With the chariot, you'll see that I've used some sprue to extend the kit out. There's a little bit of like a indent here, so I've kind of like just built around that, and then essentially I've built out the kit and then put the base of the Waralter, and then I've given it enough distance and length that I can put my Stormcast people at the back of the chariot, while this imposing statue of Sigmar will be in the back. So that's a bit of a sneak peek to what I'm doing with my armies on parade. Also in the chat, building the red-bearded skink. Sotrek, yeah, I love that. I saw a Skaven version of Gotrek. It had like a Skaven head, which was really cool, but then it was holding the head of Gotrek. So that's amazing. I want to see your red skink version. What is the Storm host? It will be it'll be a Hallowed Knights, because I really liked Gargant, and I'm not painting it. I'm painting it as my Knights Hospitalis. So I found a metallic red. So instead of it being like a traditional red, it's a I think it's called Tamiya Clear. You can buy these and what happens is I paint my models all silver, and then right at the end I hit it to make it like a metallic red. So it'll be primarily metallic red armor, so kind of like Blood Angels, but there'll be a lot of red trim and a bit of gold and things like that. So that's kind of what I'll be doing. Kadir, nice to see you. Will I be running any other tournaments in Sydney other than so in January, start of January, I've got Sydney GT, which is really just catching up for the last tournament. October is the one that I always run. And then there'll be often little things that I'll kind of run throughout the year. But I'm really trying to empower my community to run more events. I'm gone, Riot. There'll be stuff that'll pop up if you are a Sydney player, but I'm trying to get more tournaments happening more often and by other people, because I'd like to play at some point too. Only the faithful, yeah. I should make a shirt or something for that. Merry Christmas to you, Darktron. What do I think of Nurgle so far? So I have not played the new Nurgle. I've only been watching and just I want to play some games now that I'm actually on break and I've gotten Christmas out of the way. I want to play against the new Nurgle. I've watched plenty of people and talked to plenty of people, and the general feel is that initially when you look at the book, you get point shock, more expensive, less on the table, you feel bad. You find very quickly how much damage you do through chip damage, as well as just generally how durable they are on the table, and how often they can struggle for people to kill you, which will annoy people, especially when you're trying to do battle tactics and things like that. So my general take is that I really like the new Nurgle. The challenge is it's a whole new different play style. So for some people, they're going to struggle and they're going to say, this is not the play style that I signed up for. And that's also okay. I think Nurgle plays now like Nurgle always should have. They never really played like Nurgle. They played, I don't know, Nurgle should have never been fast. They should have been more durable. They always should have been, almost like playing against zombies, where, there's a corruption happening throughout the game, and you benefit long term. The longer you play, the more disease is being spread, and it's an attrition over time. So I think they play towards what they should be, but it's going to be a big shock. That's just my general. Tamir Clear, have few of them. The smoke one is amazing for materials. Yeah, so I've got the red one. There's a red version of it. So I'm going to hit it with, I bought some Chaos Black spray. I'm going to hit it with a whole bunch of silvers. And then the last step is you put the Tamir Clear, because once you've kind of painted it, you've kind of painted it. The Glocken countercharge is a fascinating one. 700 points, but if you look at 20 wounds, 5 up, heals D3, it's super tasty. And then the countercharge, especially if you've got something like Nurglings or a cheap unit of Plague Bearers, you could really start countercharging, block people off getting onto the objective. Chaff them up into spots that they were super buffed up, trying to go for something that was key to your army, and you sacrifice something you potentially summoned. And there's going to be a lot of zone denial. I think if you play Magic the Gathering, you'd call it a blue deck. It's a very control kind of tricks to kind of keep your opponent at bay, not playing that they want the way they want to play, which is very different to where they were in the past. So. But Noise is saying that I was not expecting the Glocken to charge me in my movement phase, but it was odd. Who controls all 3 objectives? Yep, cool. Yeah, so you were playing one of those scenarios by turn 3, if someone owns all the objectives, you immediately win the game. But even just like putting on a battle tactic, the opponent has said, I'm going to kill this general, I'm going to kill this battle line unit, I'm going to do X. And then you countercharge them with literally a base of 3 Nurglings, and you've summoned and you slingshot them into your opponent, and now they can't go do broken ranks. They can't get Savage Spearhead because you've denied them. There's a lot of denial in this book. Do I think Nurgle can be a good tournament play? That's question. I guess it depends on what you say is good. I think, is it a 5-0 army? No. And if you do 5-0 or 4-1, it's because you played a good game and you did the right things. I think one thing I want to test and see is how they don't seem to have the damage output. I think that's the challenge I see with Nurgle right now. And against armies like Mega Gargants, like Dragons, like some of these armies that will be super durable, potentially lots of wounds, how will you handle Mega Gargants is a perfect example, but you just don't have the damage, and the chip isn't enough, and you can't just go out and kill the support heroes, because they don't have support heroes. They're just 3 or 4 big boys. Even something like I could see a world where Kragnos and Mega Gargants are going to be running around. So I think the question I've got is how much damage can you do with your megas? I think that's where I'm not megas. Your Nurgle. Are they good army? Yes. Will you have fun? Yes. Will you average probably 3 wins, 2 losses? Probably. Will you automatically 4-1? No. And that's a good thing. Will you frustrate the hell out of some of these armies, the Daughters of Cain, the Sentinels, the long strikes, because they can snipe you with your with those bow snakes or sentinels, but your heroes are durable enough, especially with the ward save, that's going to take a lot of focused effort to take down those support heroes, which is one of their keys to winning at the moment. You've got summoning, you've got some good tools, and the wheel, the cycle of corruption. I really like the cycle of corruption, but it's just going to take you more work. I think that's kind of where I'm at. Which is better, a 3-hour game of Horrors of Tzeentch versus Nurgle, or 5 minutes of Bolt Boys versus Sentinels? I guess it depends on which side I'm on. Like like playing against the Horrors of Tzeentch and playing against a lot of Tzeentch armies. Like, it's just, like, for me, it's just not that fun. Like, you're just sitting there, unless you've got the damage output in your army. It's just an absolute grind. It is an absolute grind. So I'm just trying to work out where this bloody part goes. Haven't been focused at all. Where does this part go? See there? Aha, success. Great success. There we go. We got somewhere. Cool. Yeah, so what would I prefer? I probably prefer the Bolt Boys and versus the Sentinels, because you can GG good game that and then go to the bar or go chill or go watch your friend play, as opposed to sitting there grinding it out for three hours. But what would be a more interesting game? Probably at least the Tzeentch, because if you've got the damage output, if you've got the tools, you can certainly handle them, while some armies don't have the power to reach out and touch Sentinels or Bolt Boys, Daughters of Cain Bow Snakes. So I guess it depends on what you're playing, but I think I would prefer to play against Bolt Boys versus Sentinels. What do you think about the point changes, and do I like it? No, I don't. I mentioned this at the top of the show, so if anyone had been here from the start, apologies for being repeat. But my general feel is, so music go down a little bit. My general feel is that the points were in the wrong directions. I think the units that went up, so like your bow snakes, your sentinels, your what's it called, your iron jaw piggies, your gore grunters, they didn't go up enough. I think some things got completely missed. Formulators, as a prime example, there are some things that avoided nerfs altogether. And I think for the armies that did get a points decrease, most of them happened in the wrong spot. So there were units that you weren't selecting, and a point differential of 10 to 20 wasn't going to put them back on the table for most things. Most people's list didn't change that much. At best, you have some points available for a triumph, but for most of the things, like when I looked at all of those points changes and looked at the armies that I played, I can honestly say that I wasn't really negatively or positively impacted. My Daughters of Cain, I've got 10 bow snakes, so cool. I'll drop an endless spell to keep my 10 bow snakes. I'm not going to have my bow snakes. I'll just drop them. I'll just drop something else, or I'll swap out one of my battle line from being a Sisters of Slaughter to a Witch Elves to a cheaper. And then for the factions that I play that are underpowered, like Gloomspite Gitz, perfect example, like there was really no benefits to me there. So, and I think the other part as well is with the changes is that there are some god tiers. Marathi could have gone up or could have gotten a War Scroll rewrite while they were focused on the god tier models. But they claim that they're going to be doing more of these frequently. So if anything, I think my favorite changes were things like heroic actions not happening. Well, heroic healing, the heroic recovery not happening in hero phase, and Unleash Hell now being within 6, not being within 9. So I think they're probably my favorites compared to the points. What I think of Kragnos in a Beastclaw Raiders list, I think it's a great option. I'm going to sit down soon and do like a Kragnos type of list, but I think you could do one one Frost Lord on Stonehorn with Kragnos. I think you could do, I think there's some good stuff in there. I think the ability, there's some really good charge abilities that I want to explore a little bit further. The big question that I had, and I was talking to some of the Beastclaw people in my Discord, I was saying to them, what would you prefer? Because he's like 700 points. Do you take 2 Frost Lords on Stonehorns or a Kragnos? Or do you take a Kragnos and a Frost Lord on Stonehorn, or 3 Frost Lords on Stonehorns? And I think that's the question: is what are you trying to achieve, and what gets you better bang for buck? And I don't have a solid answer for you just yet. I'm also wanting to see exactly what you can do with the Gutbuster side, the dad bods, because you don't see that much play of them at the moment. So what does he do for them, and how does that potentially help the dad bods? But would I add Kragnos in a Stonehorn list? Yeah, I think it'll work well. But I do like the versatility of having more models on the table. So having like 3 Stonehorns is probably, again, I'm not having Kragnos in the list means I'm only getting 2 for 1. So I really want to make sure that I dominate the table, and I've got enough points for the rest of my army and to do the rest of my battle tactics, scoring objectives. Putting lots of points in one model is always a risk. I feel the same thing with 3 of my cool. Yeah, same thing. Like the Iron Jaws, Lumineths, Suns. Like, okay. Like, all right. The changes were meh. I think Iron Jaws, the piggies definitely could have gone up a lot more. Sentinels could have gone up more. Gargants could have changed a little bit. I'm not having a whinge. I'm not saying they should have, but I just don't think the points adjustment were enough to make any meaningful changes to the way we've played so far. That's my take. None of my lists, whether it's my Zinch list, whether it's my other lists, it's just like, who cares? Oh, well, they are. So I'm building Kragnos, and I have clipped a bunch of spruce. So no, Kragnos. I'm not building Kragnos. I'm building Karazai. And so far, I've clipped a bunch of sprues, and I've glued half a body together. So this has been really good. I've enjoyed your company. I hope you've been having fun. Whatever you are doing, whether it is Christmas Day for you, and you're just having a chill session now that Christmas is over and the kids might be in bed. Whether this is Boxing Day, I don't know if Boxing Day is a real thing for many of you. Boxing Day is like, I don't even know if it's a thing for us, to be honest. It used to be the big day. There was sales on, and a lot of people who got money for Christmas or vouchers, they go to the mall to buy things. But now you've got, and there used to be a lot of sales. Like the Boxing Day sale used to be, at least for us, a really big thing. But now with like Black Friday and Cyber Monday and online shopping, it doesn't really feel like a thing. Like people watch the cricket, people watch the Sydney to Hobart yacht race, if that still happens. But most of it's just a decompression from Christmas and just to catch up on things, or maybe have a party with your friends. All right, we got a leg now. Success. Cast, it's weird. I was working on my Blood Knights and I found myself wanting to work on more zombies. Had loads of fun. Yeah, zombies are great. I think if I was going to build a horde, and I've built hordes, I've done 160, 180 Gloomspite Gits, goblins. Like I've done the horde. They're a lot of fun. The challenge is like you get tired of building like the same types of models over and over. But given that zombies as well, you can have a lot of fun. They've got a lot of character. They also, you can be very messy with them too. Lots of blood, lots of gore. You don't have to be super clean with them. I think it makes them a fun thing to paint. If Jack's still in the chat, Jack, how's my gluing compared to yours? Since you judged me with my hobby knife. I do want to try Kragnos in Iron Jaws. Yeah. I think I do wonder though, like, are you just better off having a cabbage? More crusher. I don't know. You start to lose points really quickly with some of these things. Boxing Day isn't a thing for the US, but I know it's FOGS tomorrow. Busiest day of the year by a long shot. Yeah, a lot of people have like a lot of Christmas money. And that's why Games Workshop has that limited edition Mega Boss on foot, because people have got a lot of Christmas money and they want your Christmas money. So come in store. But definitely, my wife today, you all laugh. My wife said to me today, she goes, "Oh, is there any sales for with Warhammer?" And I laughed at her. I said sales in Warhammer are not a thing. They're like Apple. You never get a discount. Like, it's very rare. G'day, Dan. Merry Christmas. Made a bunch of custom contrast mixes, so the skin is really fast. Yeah, good shout. I've you save a lot. Buy some empty dropper bottles, or even just save some of like your contrast paint pots. Make up your own mixture. I mean, instead of like, especially when you're doing something repetitively, you can just go straight to the source. So I did that with my Daughters of Cain. So I had made like a custom skin tone using like Dark Oath flesh, a little bit of Fire Slayer flesh, a little bit of medium. Made that up in a large batch. Even when I do a mega gargant and I made like a frost skin, I'd kind of watered down a thematic blue 4-1. Instead of repeating that constantly as a cycle, I just made up my own, large batch of it. And it just means every time, and even if I add more models to the range, I've got it's consistent across the board. As a proud receiver of two Archaons, wow, it's a lot of Archaons. Do you think your interviews with Caleb around? Yeah, I'd have to have a look. Actually, I'm gonna have to have a look. It was interesting because when I was doing my videos on chaos, I asked my guests. I said to a lot of guests, like, build me lists without Archaon, because we know what Archaon does, right? He's got things that he does, and there's minor tweaks. He was a depravity machine with Slanesh. He could use Destiny dice in Tzeentch. He combines well with some of the stuff in Khorne. And I'd say to my guests often, try to bring me a list without Archaon. And you're kind of capping yourself, because competitive Tzeentch, competitive Slanesh would likely have Archaon. And a couple of videos, I got some commentary like, "Oh, this is not very good. Why didn't you talk about Archaon?" And I can reflect now and say that, well, I might have dodged a bullet, because you now won't be bringing in Archaon into Disciples of Tzeentch. So to go back to your question, Steelyard, I need to go back and look at all of those discussions, and I probably need to see who I need to re-record with, or which discussions I need to re-record with, now knowing that Archaon is not really beneficial in outside of slaves. So I think for me, definitely that's one thing. On the flip side, I'll also need to talk to a couple of death players to talk about Nagash. I definitely want to talk to a Nighthaunt player to see how they're thinking about Nagi in Nighthaunt. I think it's definitely a worthwhile shout. I don't think it's worth it with Flesh Eater Courts. I just don't think there's enough good synergy there to make it worthwhile. OBR and Soulblighter, they're kind of tried and tested. Yeah, I mean, I have a bottle. I think I even just bought some bottles from the art store, to be honest, when I was looking at my thing. Merry Christmas, yeah, indeed to you, Dan, as well. Building your first bit of Stormcast, yeah, hell yeah. They're so clean and so easy to build, the Stormcast. See, long strikes, jumping into the deep end already. Too many Archaons now. I did a tournament video like 6 months ago or 12 months ago, and it was 60 players at the tournament, and there were 10 Archaons. So they actually, at the end of it was the start of day 2, they lined up all their Archaons in a line, and they were all like, there's some really cool ones. People painted them like blue and pink, and different ones to theme their armies. But it was interesting. But yeah, you won't see that many Archaons now on the table. That's for sure. You can bloody guarantee that one. I will volunteer to be on your OBR. I don't know if there's that much. I don't know if there's that much to talk now about. In fact, I feel like if anything, Nagash got nerfed in OBR. Like he was quite good in the old OBR, but now, and correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but I feel like he got weaker in OBR now. I think Nighthorn, there's definitely some really good play, and he definitely fills some gaps that he used to, that you really need as a Nighthorn player. Combines really nicely with like a Linda, goes really well with the hordes of spooky ghosts. But OBR, now that he still benefits a little bit, but not nearly as much as he used to. And we're not going to get Petragash with Nagash under Petrifix Elite with the crazy save stacking stuff, because he can't benefit from allegiance abilities. One a weekly Thomas Stoke for Nagash. Yeah, there's some really good reasons why. It's why people have been crying out for the black coach to become a hero, because they just don't have that big based buff piece hero model that right now in the game you really need. You really do need that model. There's no secret that these monster heroes that are durable, they're killy, they're debuff centrals, are doing well in the meta. Nighthaunt really struggle, and they rely on keeping their usually 5 to 7 wound heroes alive, and if you can kill them, you kind of crumble Nighthaunt pretty easily. Indeed, bloody Owen Jackson, he put them on Games Workshop's radar, and you can 100% OBR folks, you can blame Owen Jackson for the nerf to Petrifix Elite and Nagash. So make sure to tweet him and say that it's not he's not viable. I think if I had like pillars of like the 4 death factions and where Nagash is, he's still viable in that middle. He's just not as beneficial as he used to be in Petrifix Elite, which then kind of goes back to, I think someone earlier asked me, should I build Nagash, get Catacross, or get an Archaon the Black? And I had said, do an Archaon, because I think Archaon is a mini Nagash at half the points and is versatile enough within OBR compared to, Nagy. Black Coach should have been in the Soul Blight book. I absolutely 100% agree with you. Because the Black Coach is got a vampire in the back. That's literally what it's doing. At the back of that Black Coach is a vampire. So it's a bit weird. I was surprised that it's not in there, but you've got like a million models, and you've already got too many chariots like your Blood Palanquin and your Mortis Engine. Like you've already got enough of those types of models that, do you really need another Black Coach? If anything, I'm surprised that you don't have the catapult. What's it called? It used to be called the Salt. What's it called? The Screaming Skull catapult. Yeah. I'm OG. I remember the Screaming Skull catapult. I'm surprised you don't have that ranged weapon, but you can't have everything unless you're Stormcast. You can't have everything. But that book's getting quite big, actually, the Stormcast. Makes you wonder how much they can keep expanding Stormcast before something happens. At what point does it become too big and they need to separate the factions like they did with with Space Marines? Or do you retire some of the older kits, the Generation 1 type stuff? Because it is now a really big book. So my Krondus underside is Ashanti Bone. I need a shade to go in with the other Techless Templar Nightshade. It's Ashanti Bone and a Tekla. So you're going for a blue. have you considered thinning down a blue of some description, and maybe maybe a really thin down not the top is Teclis Tim. Okay, right. Okay, so I guess I'm not Vince Venturella here. If you you could either keep with the Ishanti bone or keep with the like the fleshy whitey kind of tones underneath, or you can kind of bring it together with a blue transition and blue going into at least the underside of the belly, still keeping it. And that's what I did with my daughter, my bow snakes, is I kept it with like a Ushanti bone kind of fleshy tone on the belly, but then I really thinned down a set of purple, which is what I was using on my scales. My scales were all purpley and pink. I had thinned that down to be a real thin wash, so it mostly settled within the crevice. And it then meant I could kind of dry brush and layer the underside, so it still looked like Ushanti bone kind of colors, but it had an undertone and hues of the purple. So, but again, I'm not. That would probably be my take. Or if you could keep it kind of, if you're going to keep it not blue, then maybe I'd probably go maybe Agrax. Oh, yeah, maybe an Agrax, or you could even, yeah, I would, but I would thin it down still. I would definitely still thin it down. RS Blunden just bought the Soul Blight Battle Force. Yeah, that's a really good box. That's a really good box. I've been writing up some scripting for a little video about expanding those boxes and kind of like looking at the points and looking at like, cool, I Santa left me the Soul Blight box. Where do I go from here? So I should record that soon. I just need to check. I was waiting to see how the FAQ impacted those 4 boxes because I know my Slanesh list was 2005 points. So I was hoping that Slanesh got a minor change. So I'll come to that video pretty soon. I think we've already seen what happens. Half the book is hero scrolls that have no use. Yeah, that's the problem with Stormcast. It's just too many war scrolls, and for a new player or even a mid-experienced player, it's hard to know where to spend your dollars. I think that kind of makes sense, Bruce. I would personally, if I was doing the underbelly or something like that, I would want to have some of the skin tones, so like the blues, still creeping through, whether it's a glaze, whether it is a wash. It might not be dominating. You might thin it down, 4-1, 3-1, 5-1 with like medium or something. But I would still want to have shade, so it's not like this hard transition where it's like blue skin and then Ushanti. There's this blue consistency that kind of gets lighter as it gets closer to the belly. That's how I would do it. Cast are going to be ordering some free guild great swords and turning them into Graveguard with the Skulls pack. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Great swords are a great kit. They're really cool. Actually, I don't own any Graveguard. All my skeletons are the older models, so the generation just before the one we've got. So I always even thinking about the Cursed City skeletons being Graveguard because they're a lot more heavily armored. I'm sure if you bought the Graveguard kit, you could also combine them and kind of create like a cool undeady, greatswordy type build. Cool. I hope you're all having fun. I'm starting to lose my voice. I probably won't hang out too much longer. Wife should be home soon, and I've got some wrestling to watch. I might actually start building this kit as well. So far we've clicked a whole bunch of things, and we have a little bit of an underbelly of Karazai, but this kit was really easy. Like when I built my initial Krondus, it took me like 2 hours or less. Like the kit comes together really quickly. Living Graveguard would be cool. Well, what's super fascinating, and I was mentioning this earlier about the Free Guild, is there are stories in the realm of death, Shaiish, that the humans of the realm of death live together in side by side with their ancestors. So in the city will be the ghosts of their ancestors as well as the living. So it's just a way they can pay homage and respect to their elders and things like that. So absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, you could have living graveguard. You could have they could be literally the bodies there to protect their ancestors. Like, there's absolutely nothing that would stop you from doing something like that. Could chop up great sword hats and put them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great call. You've got Krondus's Aura of Glory in my head now. It's I love it. I love it. It was the thing in my Tempest Eye list. It was the thing that was always missing, and it was a bit of pushing shit uphill, putting it onto the Hurricanum. So Krondus is perfect for that. That's my take. What do you use as a recipient of those types of lists? It could be my Stormdrake Guard. It could. Oh, it's an aura, right? Like the Aura of Glory is a 12-inch bubble. So if you have what I did last game, which I had Krondus in the middle of my attack, I had the Free Guild General on Griffin on the right side of my attack, and then I had 2 of my Stormdrake Guard on the left. So, and then they can kind of like still advance and still go kill the juicy stuff, but within 12 inches. And Krondus's base is so big that 12-inch aura is massive. That's just what I found. Vampire Thralls, absolutely. I dig it. Yeah, it's a wholly within 12-inch bubble. So that's kind of why the Free Guild General on Griffin and the 2 units of Stormdrake Guard bases are small enough that it's easy to stay wholly within. When you start trying to build in, big units of troops, even demigryphs, like demigryphs can be can find themselves out of range pretty quickly, especially if you reinforce them at least once, having a unit of 6. So that's how I used it. And I was also doing it for lols, right? I was playing around with Pistoliers to see what they would be like, because I thought Pistoliers might work quite nicely with the dragons. Given the problem is that with the dragons, you run out of points really quickly, and I struggled to hit my one, because you have to have 1 in every 4. So if you have Krondus and 2 Stormdrake Guard, that's almost 1,000 points. So you've then got to still get in 6 units to not only, including 3 battle line, to match up with your 2K 3 battle line, 1 in 4 Stormcast. So it's a fun challenge. And normally, in the old days, you'd use Aether Wings, but they're a Stormcast unit, so I can't go to they can't be my solution, unfortunately, in that type of build. But I've just bought another unit of 2 Stormdrake Guard, and I want to turn them into Knight Draconis, so I can try a list without Krondus, because you definitely want a dragon hero, but I can do it without having to take Krondus or Karazai. It's yeah. No, Merry Christmas to you, Stardog. Thank you so much for jumping in. I know it's getting late. I know it's getting late for many of you, and this is more just a chill hangout while I'm free and while you're all free. If anyone is hanging out and just looking for some company, or kids are in bed, you're putting on some hobby and you need some Australian twang coming through your eardrums, I thought I'd be your voice of reason. Is there any final if there's any final questions? Maybe. Ooh, be rude. What can how can I end this? What can I end with? What can I add? I guess I've got to start thinking about 2022, right? What type of content and what type of things we want to start doing. Sajil jumps in. Hey, Sajil. Starting to wrap up. I've been going for like 2 hours, or almost 2 hours. Appreciate you. If people watch Twitch, by the way, I'd suggest go checking out Sajil. Sajil does some really cool streams too. So nice to see you, brother. Hope you are having a great Christmas. Ooh, that's a good question, Joey. Thank you for that. What do you think the next realm will be? That's a good question. So we might see Shimon. So I guess I'm going to throw some ideas out there. If if this battle force, so on Monday, we know Games Workshop is announcing the next Age of Sigmar battle force. And assuming that the battle force comes with updates with battle tomes, let's assume that whether it's within the box or it's going to be up at the same time, if the Fire Slayers or the Duarden are combined with Grumnir, it's hard not to see that Shimon might not be a focus area. You have Malarian Malekith coming back, and I think we'll see Malarian or Malekith within the next 12 months. I think the Shadow Elves might be one of our next big ones. So you could see Ulgu, and this month's White Dwarf had maps of Ulgu. If I was going to make a hot tip, I would probably say Ulgu, or given that we have Nurgle, potentially the Kurnothi, maybe we have the return to Gairan. I feel like we haven't really quite explored Gairan just yet. It was always good and it was great for the lore in the early days of Sigmar, and maybe it's Gairan. So I'm gonna put down that it's Gairan. Maybe Nurgle starts winning the war again, and no. All right, line in the sand. I'm going to say it's Ulgu. I don't know. What do you all think? What realm do you think we're going to hang out with? I think there's arguments, right? I think we're going to see Azir eventually. It feels like Hish is protected, so we're not going to see Hish just yet. You could argue, I mean, Shyish is kind of on pause right now, so Realm of Death we're not going to touch. The Dawnbringer Crusades could usher in the next wave. Realm of Metal or Realm of Shadow, I think, are our next two. One of the two. I can't give you a rational reason just yet, other than some of the stories that are currently brewing. I think, depending on which kind of way they want to swing it, that okay, Sigil mentioning the Kurnothi got mentioned again in the White Dwarf. I feel like, because Games Workshop, it seems like it's about an 18-month to 2-year process for them to explore an idea and bring it to life. And it's about the 2-year mark that they brought in the Kurnothi Underworlds Warband. And I feel like that it sold really popular. It got really good responses from the community with the Kurnothi. And one of the heroes that could easily return from the old world is Orion in a new form. So Orion, which is the king of the Wood Elves, was always reincarnated every year, where they would sacrifice an elf or wood elf into this forest, and he would essentially, like, be enclosed by, I think it's the Oak of Ages or some kind of magical tree, and that process would happen every year, so it would follow the seasons. Anyway, long story short, Orion never really die, so I could definitely see Orion return through Gairan and through that expansion. So I think they're probably one of the next. If I was going to say next faction, I think it'd be definitely Kurnothi. Ulgu, absolutely. I think with Marathi driving some of the narrative with what she's done in the past, and potentially the return of Malekith Malarian, absolutely. I think Skaven, to Sigil's point, Skaven could definitely be coming out of Ulgu with some more Dark Elves. Shimon is currently locked off with Be'lakor, you're right, but I wonder, with the return of Grumnir, what that might bring, and does that drive a narrative focus towards Shimon? So that's why I'm saying, like, depending on which story they kind of want to tap into, there's a couple of things kind of currently brewing that you could say. But yeah, Gairan, Sigil, Gairan would be the easy choice. I think Gairan is an easy one to revisit. There's, you've got protagonists, you've got a hero, you've got stuff going on. But I think they might want to explore another realm, and I think, Ulgu or Shimon would be my two picks, give or take. Shimon with the Dawnbringer Crusades, pushing in after Be'lakor broke all the realm gates and to rescue the trap. Absolutely, my balls. Absolutely, there you go. There's one personal example. Like where does Sigmar want to send the Dawnbringer Crusades? Grumney helped with the Stormcast, with the Thunderstrike. He's got the Dawnbringer Crusades going out there to take back the realms and to create new settlements. Supposedly 11 out of 12 settlements fail, so this could be the expansion into Shema. There's a whole book dedicated to the rising of. Yep, cool. Yeah, there you go. 100%. I think Orion could easily be brought back into the game without breaking any of the canon lore. When I saw Krondus' black and white silhouette, my first thought it was Orion. Yeah, I didn't quite know when I saw. I definitely had no idea. But I was actually, spoiler, I was actually building an Orion. Before the project kind of died, I was building a Sylvaneth 4th that was based around Kurnothi, having like 15 Kurnoth hunters of some capacity. And I bought Magnus the Red, but I kind of stripped him back. I cut him up and like removed a lot of his things. And I was basically making Orion as like this glorified Spirit of Durthu, so I could play him in match play. But absolutely, I think Orion is much loved, and I could easily come back. Part of me wants to sell my half-finished Odin project and invest into a more... if you're not getting joy from your project and you can't see a world where you're going to finish them, then why not sell them? You can always keep them and come back to them, but that's what happened with me with my Sylvaneth. It was just sat on the shelf for too long. I had new ideas and new projects that I wanted to fund, and I ended up flipping my Sylvaneth for something else. It was actually my Mega Gargant, I think it was. So Gio, my thoughts is you'll have, if you ever did, I think this is the way Games Workshop is expanding their books now, is you'll have Sylvaneth, you'll have the Kurnothi, and then you'll have the soup middle. So it'll be, I think a lot of books now will start following the trends of like the Auric War Clans, where you'll have 3 or 4 factions in one book, and you'll have the soup in the middle tying it up for people who want. I could see a world where the Wanderers come back in as well. They're kind of like in their own little island. I was sure Kragnos was Kurnoth. I thought Kragnos was Beast of Chaos, and I was pretty disappointed for them when it didn't happen. Merry Christmas to you, Christopher, as well, from Philadelphia. Much love. Thanks for poking your tongue out at me in your image. I'm going to have a sip of drink, and I'm actually starting to lose my voice pretty quickly. So if there's any other burning questions, I look first off, Merry Christmas. I hope you all have an awesome Festivus and happy holidays and a great time with your family and your friends, and you're doing some hobby like I've tried to. I always have these aspirations of doing this wonderful hobby, but you never get much done. But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you all. If there's any burning questions you have before I lose my voice, this is the time to ask. Otherwise, I might kind of bring this to an end. Because, I'm losing my voice really quickly. Is it Jose? Jose? I can't pronounce that one. Apologies for that. They're starting a new Maggot King of Nurgle army and having the Lorgan Plagues and Plague Bearers. Yeah, nice. I think Nurgle's obviously a great army to start with right now because you have a lot less points. Me versus Sotek rematch. I was meant to be on Sotek wanted me on Lore Masters at some point. He hasn't actually reached out again about it, so who knows? He's been a big superstar doing this Chaos Rising documentary video in Scotland. So since Australia has come out of lockdown, I've been playing lots more real games. So I'm taking advantage. I'm worried that Omicron Persei 8 is going to force us back into lockdown. Hopefully not. Our vaccination rate is like 90%. So I'm hoping as long as people just go in and get their booster shots, I won't have to worry about it. So I've kind of dropped off TTS a lot since I can play in real life. But absolutely, I'm down for a rematch. Well, I might actually put together a half good list. I always bring like the worst, shittest list, the low lists, and the lists are always like all Rend, and he just laughs at me with Rend, stupid Nighthawk. Maybe we'll go test to see how it goes with Nagash. Don't forget Chaos Dwarves. I think Chaos Dwarves are 2024, 2025. That's my general feel. I think Chaos Dwarves will be the end of Age of Sigmar 3. I think you've still got Kurnothi, Shadow Elves, Tyrion side of the elves, let alone anything else, more Stormcast, new models for other ranges, updates to current sculpts. I think the Chaos Dwarves are many, many, many years away. This is my personal opinion, not that I have seen a timeline. Great tips. Blended the Templar blue to the underbelly. Yeah, cool. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, that's how I do. Just like, and you know, if you glaze or you really thin it down, you can just apply multiple layers, or you know, you can change the strength of your glaze. So you could start off really lightly and then go darker, darker, darker. So you get like a nice transition, and then you can always highlight or dry brush back up so that you get back to your Ushanti, but you've got some thin or some nice tones. Kind of adds a bit of dimension. It was a good match. Yeah, it was always good fun. It's always good fun. I think I played a bunch of Gargants last time. Who knows? Maybe we'll bring the dragons this time. I was thinking Chaos Dwarves would be a combo box versus I don't know. I don't know what they'll do with the Chaos Dwarves. I feel like they'll stand alone on their own faction too. The Dragon faction, that's a good question. Like, you know, do dragons split off to be their own faction at some point? You know, do they actually need to be in Stormcast? Like, they've obviously launched in Stormcast, but do they even need to be there? Like, and the answer is no. You don't need to have Stormcast to have this dragon army. So you could almost build it up and then kind of I don't know. I don't want to say Primaris Marines but you could put like the unrelated. There you go. Perfect. That worked well. If you said it and I missed it, never mind. But who do you think will be the next AOS faction? Are we talking new factions? Or are we talking expanded factions? I think this year, my personal thoughts is that most of this year will be just catching up with updated tomes. 95% of our factions have out-of-date battle tomes. So I think what you're going to start to see is I think this is the year for 40K when it comes to getting new models. Because they've been starved of models for a long time. We've gotten all the cool things, they've got the books. I think the roles have reversed. I think this year coming up, we will mostly get books. I think we will get maybe a hero or a monster or an update to each range. But for the most part, this year will just be about books for us. I think the next new faction, I think will be Dwarf. I think it'll be a Dwarf army. I think it will be an expansion of, because I think, I'm making a guess, you have your Fire Slayers, you have your KO. I think they'll come together. But I think there'll be something new in the middle that'll help bring them together. Whether it's clockwork, whether it's like golem style, whether it is some type of tinkering that Grumnir has done for the dwarves, some type of generic troop, or whether it is an expansion of the dispossessed, I don't know. But I think there's been a lot of elf love, maybe too much elves, and I think elves need to have a pause right now. And I think something else needs to come about, whether it's the Order of Vizier through the Dawnbringer Crusades, whether it is something new from. It's hard, right? Like, is there any new destruction ideas? Probably not. Any new death ideas? Probably not. The Chaos Gods? Probably not. Though they might reimagine the Beasts of Chaos. I think there's a great opportunity there, but I wouldn't call that a new faction. Yeah. But hey, come Monday, we're going to see some updates. No, man. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for the constant updates as well. Thank you. I appreciate everyone who gets into the videos and likes and comments. And Joe, I see you in the comments a lot, and many of you who are joined today, I recognize. So I appreciate all of you jumping in and saying hello. Just next on the list. Next on the list. All right. I think we're going to see on Monday. I think Deepkin and Beast and Fire Slayers. I'm going to say IDK and combo dwarves. I'll say combo dwarves. So I think Fire Slayers is the easy one, but I think they'll combine the dwarf factions in coming up. Silent people, absolutely. I think silent people are definitely some insectoid type Tyranids of Age of Sigmar. I think will definitely be an option. The grot scuttlers as well. You can probably see the goblin sky pirates coming in. They work. Vampires on foot. Yeah. You could definitely do that. They don't have to be vampiric. Yeah, what could they add to death at any point? Good question. I don't quite know. I don't know. I mean, vampire pirates. They were quite popular in Warhammer Fantasy. The Vampire Coast. So you could have the Wraith fleet that could possibly come in. I think definitely an opportunity there. They were very popular. I would love to see competitive Beasts of Chaos Tome. Yeah, that has been a long time. It's been a really good time. Yeah, I think I would love to see a complete revisit of Beasts of Chaos. I know some people have rumored them to combine under Slaves. I think that's a bad idea. I would hate to see them combine with Slaves to Darkness. But I think while we're in the realm of while we're in the realm of beasts, I think it was a big missed opportunity if we don't see an expansion of a heap of chaos monsters. Like, and actually back to Sigil, you mentioned something about what could they even add to death at this point. I think it comes back to monsters. Where are the zombie or skeleton maw crushers? Where are the zombie or skeleton mega gargants? Where are some of these monsters that are long gone from our past? Where are these zombies? And, we obviously had Terrorgeists with these big bats from Gur, I think. Where are those types of things? And I think the monster expansions of both death and destruction would be where I would hedge my bets. Give me more zombie and skeleton type monsters and undeath creatures, and give me the wild Beasts of Chaos untamed stuff. You could absolutely see Gitmob come back and have some Sky Chaos Kharadron Overlords, definitely. But I think we haven't seen many hints of those just yet. I think that's probably part of the challenge is they like to put little trailers. We saw in the Underworld Warband the little Chaos Dwarf. They're testing sculpts. They're kind of getting reactions before a full reveal. And I think that's why I'm confident probably to say Kurnothi would be one of the next, because they've at least tried to sculpt. Zombie only faction. Why not? I think there's a huge opportunity. Like tell me about the zombie creatures that are in the deep. Like, what about a zombie turtle? What about zombie crabs? What about zombie skeleton things from the seas? Let alone from the skies. Let alone from the land. There's lots of monsters and beasts and just wild, untamed things, and again, creatures from the age of myth that you could tap into, and then you could corrupt them with chaos. So again, just constantly, like, there's opportunity in that space as opposed to the more humanoid kind of things. Deathwalker is a perfect example. You could have a full army of zombie stuff or skeleton stuff. You could bring back a Mortark. There are meant to be 9 Mortarks of Nagash. Well, where are the rest of them? Do you bring back a Krell? Do you find a new Mortark to lead your zombies, your skellies? I don't know. A lot of cool options. Frankenstein, like Frankenstein type stuff. You kind of saw that with the OBR, but some real Frankenstein-y type zombies would be awesome and a lot of fun to paint. Again, the world is your oyster. Speaking of oysters, I might drop off here and go have some lunch. I heard the wife's just rocked up, and I've got wrestling to watch, and I'm losing my voice. You can clearly hear me losing my voice. But thank you all for hanging out. I really enjoyed your company. I got half a model built, but that's not important. We had a good chat, and I hope you had a lot of fun. Merry Christmas again. Have a great time, no matter when it is. I'll try to find some live streams. I'll try to do some more. I might see if I can sneak in another hobby hangout before New Year's Eve. And probably the last thing I'll say is, if you want to hang out more and discuss more and do stuff like this, check the notes, Discord. We do this type of stuff like on the fly as well. So we'll literally just like I'll be cooking dinner and I'll jump on a call and people will jump in. So do come check out the link. Davey, Merry Christmas. Ryan, Merry Christmas. Everybody on the line, Merry Christmas. I'm going to end the stream here. Have a great afternoon, day, evening. Build your Krondus, and bye. Might start wearing gloves or something just to hide my hands. All right, see you everybody. Bye.